I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank my teachers and my parents. And to thank my parents, I'd like to give them this. I don't like to say speeches or anything, so instead I decided to write a song. And it's called Beats a Speech.
Okay, so if you know me as well as my mom does, you know I don't like writing speeches, essays, reports, just not my thing. And then when Mom said I had to say something, I was like, yeah, okay. But when it came down to it, I was totally blank. And I was like, what do I have to say? And then I realized that I don't have to say anything. It was about what I wanted to say. And what I want to say, first of all, is thank you everyone for coming and supporting us. And thank you Mount Law School for including Daniel and I in your graduation ceremony. Being homeschooled, I never thought I'd be a part of something like this. Mom, I want to thank you for being my teacher and much more my loving mother. I always remember the time, effort, and sacrifices you made for Janine and I. Thank you for signing me up for volleyball and taking me to all the practices and games. Thank you for making me practice my flute. Thank you for putting up with me through everything and teaching me about the Lord. I love you, Mom. Dad, thank you for helping with my work when Mom gave up. And thank you for building our house and working hard to make sure we had everything we need. Thank you for taking us camping and getting us started on pigeons and chickens. I love you, Dad. Eva, thanks for putting up with me and being my sister even though you had no choice. I want to thank my family and my church family for loving and supporting me. I praise God that you're all in my life. And I have something for our Mom and Dad.
Aloha parents, teachers, and students. My name is Hilo, daughter of David and Michelle Hilo. I am fairly new here at Mauna Loa School, but in the short time I've been here, I have learned a lot in these past 2 months. I feel like I became a different person. I have learned to be humble, responsible, and to have self-respect. I have made new friends, and I have started to build a better relationship with God. I would like to thank my mom and dad and my ohana for the love and support. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be the person who I am standing here today. I love you guys. I'd like to give you guys something.
Everyone. There's a quote in one of Ellen G. White's books, Education, that says, "True education means more than the pursuit of a certain course of study. It means more than a preparation for the life that now is. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. It is a harmonious development of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual powers. It prepares the student for the joy of service in this world and for the higher joy of wider service in the world to come. I'd like to thank God for my parents who've been teaching and guiding me physically, mentally, and spiritually all my life from when I was a very young kid up until now. It started when I was a little kid. My mom would bring me to the garden and give me some seeds to plant. Those were my first math lessons as I learned about counting and eventually subtraction, multiplication, division, and stuff like that. My mom would also read Bible stories to me, and while I don't remember any of this, my mom tells me that one night when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I just asked if I could read and I read the whole story. I did it so that my mom thought I had memorized the story, but she tested my reading capabilities and it's for real. I've also had the privilege to go with my dad on many of his electrical jobs, watch how he does things, and learn about being fair to the customers, and even help him a little bit with some simple stuff. My dad has studied law at the law library sometimes too, and there have been times when he's taken me there as well and showed me how to find anything we need. So I'd like to give my parents a gift before continuing with the rest of it. Okay, now I'm going to continue. I'd also like to thank my Uncle Jean-Michel for first introducing me to computers when I was about 3 years old. I've had an interest in them since, and I've been using it for ministries. For example, lately I've been helping my mom upload her singing videos to YouTube, and I taught my Aunt Norma how to do it herself also. One of the other reasons I'm glad for homeschooling is that my time is more flexible, so I can adjust my schedule for my various church jobs and stuff. I've been making the Kuna church bulletin since I was 11, and it does take me some extra time on Fridays to make it, and if I wasn't homeschooled, it might be a little more difficult for me to fit it into my schedule. Two more people I'd like to thank, those are not here, are Auntie Gail Johnson, who initially taught me about playing the piano when I was about 8 years old. She moved to Oklahoma, but I continued my piano lessons when I had Charity Espina for a while after. Since she moved to Kohala, I've been learning songs and stuff myself, but without them I couldn't play at all. I'd also like to thank Auntie Kemi Weber and all the staff of the Hilo Adventure Club, which I was a member of from about 2003 to 2007. It was a blessing to be a part of it. Not only did I have fun, but I also learned more about God. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the Mauna Loa School for allowing me to join in this graduation and for the support of everyone here today. There are so many people to thank for their positive impact to my life, and I could never list them all, or else this would last hours and hours. But for everyone I've had to leave out, thank you as well. All these things I've learned, I'm hoping and praying that they'll be used for God's glory, so I can do what Matthew 5:16 tells us. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
I'd like to thank my grandma and grandpa for coming all the way from California to see me graduate. And I'd like to thank my grandpa for giving us our graduation message.
Thank you. When Bryce and his dad called and wanted to know if Grandpa would come and talk with him, I was a little bit like some of the kids here. I don't like giving speeches either. And I remember way back when I was an 8th grader, I did not want to hear a long speech. And so what we've done, we're going to do something different tonight. And as you notice in your bulletin, the title of this evening's graduation speech is The Wisdom of 8th Graders. And so we're going to hear from them. And together we're going to put a speech together. And I want you to think carefully, because these questions are the kind of questions that every one of you and you as graduates need to answer. And there is no one right, correct answer. And as you people out there listen to the same thing, I want you to try to answer those things too. And your answers will be different than theirs. And I'm going to give you a little bookmark that you can take with you, and you can review these questions again, because these questions are how we describe theology, philosophy in real, everyday living. And so you're going to find what you answer tonight may be completely different 4 years from now, when you graduate from the academy or high school, or when you graduate from college. And those of you who've come tonight, if you think back over years when you were in the 8th grade, as you thought of these same questions, they probably are different tonight than they were then. And we'd like to plant in your ideas, in your minds, that what you are tonight is a beginning of a great future. 8th grade graduation is really an important time. Grandma and Grandpa and I have been on the graduation circuit for the last 2 weeks. And this is the 3rd graduation from grandkids we have done. The last one was just last night in Philadelphia, California. And one of our granddaughters graduated from high school. And 2 weeks before that, another grandson, our oldest grandson, graduated from the University of Arizona. But you know, tonight is a special graduation. This is an 8th grade graduation. And 8th grade graduation is different than graduation from college. It's different from graduating from high school. Because this is the time when you are leaving childhood and you are beginning to enter adolescence. And this is a really exciting time. And adolescence, and this time, is when you are learning to think critically. It's time when you're working out your paradigms of how you work and live through the rest of your life. And this is a dynamic, changing thing that is not the same. And I got to tell you, when I was in 8th grade, and I should tell you about 8th grade. My 8th grade class was very similar to yours. There were 2 of us. And we didn't have the advantage of homeschoolers. There was just 2 of us. The other was a girl, and she was the daughter of the school teacher. And her name was Opal. And I was the son of the preacher. And my name was Rollo. And you know, we were the only 2 kids that we vied for everything. We competed about everything, whatever. But we did have a good time. But the other thing that we had in common was we each had a kid brother. And my little brother was 4 years younger, so he didn't really matter too much. But Opal's kid brother, his name was Dale. And he was a pest. Always in the way, always getting in trouble. But you know, of all of us, Dale is probably the most famous of all of them. And just kind of reviewing where Dale is today, I did a Google search on him. And Dale Resloff has a whole page. And when he left the 8th grade, and he graduated a couple of years later, he graduated from PUC, he graduated, became a minister, a preacher. But as his paradigms changed, he rejected everything that he had as a child. And these are things you need to think about. Because if you really honestly look at life, things do change, and you do need to ask questions. And what we did this last Sabbath, every one of you got a list of 4 questions. And I hope you've been thinking about them. Because these questions are basic. And what we want to hear from you is how you feel about life tonight, today. And your answers are the right answers for you. And you'll find that when you look at these same questions later, they may be different. But that's what life is all about. Life is asking questions. It is growing. It's learning to think. And the reason for that is each one of us, and every one of you out there, was made in the image of God. And God, by description, is love. And that means we have the ability to think, to choose, make choices, and be responsible. And that's what it's all about. And as you begin to think about those big questions about who we are, where we're going, what are we becoming, this becomes the core of your life. And so those questions we gave out, we're going to begin. Are you ready? And we're going to have fun. So just answer, there's no right answers. Just answer like you really feel and think about it. And you folks' job is to think the same questions through, how you feel at your stage of life. Some of us are, kind of past college, past whatever. And we're down in the retirement stage. We're really learning how to live. So anyway, what I have done with those 4 questions is I have put them in kind of a bookmark. And you're going to draw one of these, and so you'll get to answer the question that you draw. But all of you have thought about everything, right? And there are 4 of you, but there were 5 questions. The last question we'll work on together. So who wants to draw first? They're all color-coded. Bryce, since you are my grandson, you get to go last. Now the very first question is, who and what do you trust the most? Who do you go for advice? And who has number 1?
Fine.
Yes.
Okay. Who I trust the most is God, my family, and my friend.
And I have to go with this, a Bible text.
1 Corinthians 13:13. 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love.
What does that text tell you? Faith, hope, and love. What is first? Faith, trust. And what's your just little list of things that you get, people that you trust? This is God working, and this is what you put your faith and trust in. As an 8th grader, you don't have the kind of comprehension you may as you go through life and learn really what God is all about. But you see God through mom and dad, your school teachers, and this is where it begins. But faith is the beginning of these 3 great virtues: faith, hope, and love. And it begins with trust. It begins with faith. That's where it all starts. The second question, who has number 2?
What and who do you dream most about becoming? I would say a good, successful person who makes money.
And this is the right answer for him today. How many of you had that same answer when you were an 8th grader? There you go. You got a lot of company, Bryce. But I would be interested to see how you feel about that same question 4 years from now, 8 years from now, as life goes on. And we really begin to just figure out what life is really worthwhile. And those values may change with time. And if you're asking questions, and if you're thinking, they will change. At least they did for me. I have a text for you.
Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the confidence that we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see.
What does that tell you about faith and also about dreams and hope? Faith, we already the beginning part, remember? Faith was the first thing. That's the thing that gives you confidence and hope, the things that you don't know about yet, that you haven't experienced yet, that life is down the road, the pages haven't turned yet, gives you hope. So faith is hope, okay? Who has number 3, okay?
What are the most important persons or things in your life? God, my family, and my friends.
These are all really very noble kind of things. And, you know, and as you say this, as you come to experience this is who you become. And the text that goes along with that
First Corinthians 13:7. 7. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance.
Now, these things that you call most important right now can best be described, in a sense, with love. Love embraces faith, it embraces hope, it embraces dreams, it embraces all of those things together. But love is not that romantic thing. It's always blissful and great and happy. It says that love never gives up. They have a tough assignment, a tough job, a problem. Love does not give up. It never loses its faith. It never loses its trust. It's a deep kind of thing that pervades everything. Faith and hope and love are all together. Love is the thing that encompasses everything. This is what describes God. It's always hopeful and endures under every circumstance. So faith and hope and love is there always. Number 4. I guess Daniel, you're the only one left.
Who do you think makes up family? How big is your family? Well, everyone. We're all a big family. And how big? Well, enough that I don't know who everyone in the family is.
You're going to discover when you leave, you've already discovered, because you've been active in the church, you've been active about thinking, your mind is growing and growing. But as you leave 8th grade and you move on, you're going to find that your family is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And in a sense, when we grow up, and our horizons expand, we become a part of the family of God. Everyone who God created is part of family. And if we can have that kind of vision and think about everybody as being our neighbor, as part of our family, what a difference it would make in the kind of people we are. And we kind of move out of our own little circle, our own little limited perception of where we are, and become a much bigger and wider world. Text to go along with that.